Welcome to Who is Mary Baker Eddy? Mary Baker Eddy is the discoverer and founder of Christian Science, and it began back in 1866 with her revelation that healed her from her deathbed. In 1875, she published the first edition of Science and Health. At the time of her passing in 1910, she was the most famous woman in the world, having started the Christian Science movement by herself through healing and saving the lives of countless people. The healings and miracles she performed and the Christian scientists that were taught by her created a worldwide Christian revolution. Had the Christ come again? Was Mary Baker Eddy the voice of God to the modern world? What happened to the Christian Science movement after her passing in 1910? Please visit whoismarybakereddy.com to learn more. Now stay tuned for the reading of another miraculous healing through Christian Science. I will read a healing from a century of Christian Science healing on page 99. One morning I found that there was a breaking out on me on one of my fingers. I tied it up and tried to forget it, but it would not be forgotten. I treated it in Christian Science, but it did not yield. The condition spread, and I asked for help, but the difficulty stubbornly refused to abate. A doctor informed me that the trouble was diabetes, from which I had previously suffered, but which I supposed had been overcome. He said that it was practically impossible for me to recover from the attack, and that my only chance was to go to the hospital and have an insulin treatment. He doubted, however, whether or not that would save me, and told my sister that gangrene had set in and I shall probably lose my hand. The doctor knew that I was a Christian Scientist and that I had met the previous difficulty through truth. He said that I might try what my faith could do, but he did not think it would help me. I thank God that my husband and my sisters made no opposition to my decision to rely on truth and truth alone. And their faith and the faith of the practitioner were a tower of strength to me. But in spite of this, instead of improving, I grew steadily worse. The dear practitioner, knowing how many years I had been in Christian Science, exhorted me to pray and work unceasingly, and I obeyed her. At last, however, it seemed as if error were going to master me, for I became confused, unable to work clearly or to pray. I struggled and struggled to clear my thinking, but I could not. One night I became so weary with the incessant fighting, so hopeless and tired, that I felt I could do no more. The battle was too much for me, and I gave it up, conquered. After an interval, I was aware of a voice calling me by name and crying, "God is your life. God is your life." I heard it, but it meant nothing to me. The voice persisted, "God is your life. God is your life." It still conveyed no meaning. I wished I could be let alone. I was so tired. Again the voice kept up its message. And then I knew what the message was. I began to struggle mentally to throw off the apathy into which I had apparently been sinking. I opened my eyes, and the faithful practitioner was leaning over me, and around my bed were standing my dear ones. The victory had been won. I had been called back to life. Several years have passed, and I am here to bear witness to the fact that God is my life. What can I say that can express my gratitude for this marvelous demonstration? I thank God for His goodness in sending us Mary Baker Eddy, the discoverer and founder of Christian Science. And may He aid all of us who are realizing the truth of her discovery to live the Christ life and to obey the Master's injunction to go out into all the world, preach the good news, and heal the sick. Miss Jeannie H. Rosenfeld, New York, New York. And a comment about the above healing. I nursed my sister, Mrs. Rosenfeld, through her illness and was present when she was called back from death to life. I had been alone with her, and she had seemed no worse. Then she moaned, and I went to her bedside. She said to me, "It's all over. This is the end. Goodbye." I ran to the telephone and summoned the practitioner, who arrived in what seemed an incredibly short time. From the distance she had to come, however, the time which must have elapsed from half to three-quarters of an hour, I summoned my sister at the same time, and she and my brother-in-law and I stood beside the bed and can testify to the truth of every word in the above testimony. Miss Dorothy H. G. Johnson, New York, New York, Sentinel Volume 33, page 734. Article submitted on May 16th, 1931.